In this video, I thought I'd share with you my first attempt at playing with solar panels and show you my plug-in solar or balcony solar setup. I'll show you what I've done here and maybe you can help me with why this isn't performing quite as I was expecting. The solar panels are JA Solar 460 watt panels. As you can see, I've got 4 of them mounted in 2 pairs. And these are 1.7 meters tall by just over 1.1 meters wide, and these were £96 each from City Plumbing. The inverter I'm using is an EcoFlow PowerStream 800 watt microinverter. Cost me £122 on Amazon. It's only got 2 inputs for 2 panels, so I've got the panels wired in parallel, and then you've got your mains power out here, which I've extended with this box running this cable to the house with a plug on the end, and this is 800 watt output, so that's the what's going to be the legal limit for plug-in solar in the UK. So obviously I've gone way overboard on the solar panels for that inverter because these are 460 watt panels, so there's a potential of 1840 watt output from these 4 panels. So I'm expecting an awful lot of clipping because this is only ever going to deliver 800 watt maximum. And that is why I have mounted the panels like this, with the intention that I want to get 800 watt all the time. So in summer sun like this, I knew there would be an awful lot of clipping, and these panels are going to be producing way more than the inverter can cope with. But by mounting them at 55 degrees and pointing them east and west, my intention was, even in the winter, spring and autumn, away from that peak summer sun, that hopefully I would still get near 800 watt out of this setup. That was my intention anyway. It's not quite working out like that, but then I don't know anything about solar, so obviously I've got something wrong here. But as far as the way these are mounted, I've got a compass there and that is pointing south, and this bit of timber is cut at 45 degrees. So I've got each pair at 45 degrees of south. So this pair of panels are capturing the morning sun, and then as the sun comes round here, there would be an awful lot of clipping because I was expecting both of these panels to be sharing the midday sun and be producing 800 watt easily, and then these panels are capturing the evening sun. And if I look at the app, they're doing exactly what I was expecting. The red pair, PV2, is the pair that is getting the morning sun, so they peak in the morning. The yellow pair, PV1, which is the evening ones, they're quite low in the morning. They both come together and produce the same at midday, and then in the evening, one tapers off and the other one increases. And then if we look at this example the other day, when it was a cloudy day, both panels performed exactly the same until some point in the afternoon when the sun finally came out, and then the west-facing panels produced a lot more than the east-facing panels. And I've made the frame so these are sitting at 55 degrees, which AI tells me is the best angle for maximum winter generation. Because if I angled these at the more normal 35 degrees, then I would just get more clipping during the summer, because I've over-panelled this setup and that inverter is limited to 800 watt anyway. So it's all about getting the maximum I can out of these during those winter times and low light times. But this setup isn't quite working as well as I was expecting. So I've set this up in peak summer, and we've had the best summer we've had for years in the UK. So I would have thought this would be generating 800 watt easily. I thought the inverter would be clipping the majority of the energy. However, what I'm seeing is I'm not ever getting any more than 600 watt out of this inverter. So this is where I need your help, because this is all new to me. Why am I not getting 800 watt out of this inverter, particularly on a day like today? I'm still only seeing 600 watt. It's almost like this is limiting it to 600 watt because it is never going 1 watt over 600. So I haven't quite finished this because I've just strung the cables in because I was dying to see it working. So I haven't tidied this up yet, but each set of panels is in a pair, and then I'm using these wire adapters here to wire them up in parallel, and then the positive and negative wire from each pair going back to the inverter. So we've got 920 watt potential generation on each of those strings. So I know I've overpaneled this setup and it's a lot more than these inputs can take, but by wiring them in parallel, AI was telling me many people do the same and it would be able to cope, and this inverter would just cap it all to 800 watt. So I was expecting to easily get 800 watt out of this system in the summer. So unless I'm missing something in the setup, which I don't think I am because this is a pretty basic unit, I suspect I'm overrunning these ports, and instead of limiting to 800 watt, this is limiting to 600 watt because there's an individual limit on each string. I would have thought at a guess, but there's nothing I can see in the setup. So if anyone can help with that, I would be very grateful. So I do realise while these are 460 watt panels, I know I'm not going to get 460 watts out of them, but I was expecting to get more than 300 watts per pair. So I did ask AI what the issue was, and it did say that in this summer heat, these panels are going to be very hot, which obviously they are. You can hardly even touch them. So potentially that's lowering the output by 20%. And obviously the 55-degree angle isn't optimal for the summer. It should be 35 degrees or so. I have put some wood under these and tilted them back to see whether I can see any difference, and I sat there and monitored it, and they didn't even go up by 1 watt. So clearly the inverter is limiting what these panels are producing. But as it is at the moment, I'm getting an average of 5 kilowatt hours generated each day, which is running the base load of the house basically. So I'm happy enough with that, but I was expecting a little bit more. And over the week, this has only been in for a week or so now, I've generated 25 kilowatt hours. Let's just see whether, yeah, there we go, we've been running a week. So even at 600 watt output and getting 5 to 5.5 kilowatt hours a day, this is generally running the house, and it's running all those background loads like the fridge freezer, the clocks, the internet router, Wi-Fi, my laptop and other things which are on charge. I suspect also I'm probably sending some energy back to the grid as well, but I don't have the coil on the incoming mains to monitor that. I need to buy the EcoHome smart meter device to measure that, but that's another 100 quid. So for now I'm just playing with solar, and I thought I'll keep the cost down, but I suspect at some point I'll be buying one of those smart meters and probably buy a battery to store some of this, and probably a battery with an inverter in it, and maybe get another 2 panels, mount them facing south, and then I've got the full east, west, south covered. So if you'd like a video on these frames, how I built them, what wood I've used, and all the other components I bought and the costs, then let me know in the comments below and I'll make that video. This setup obviously isn't ideal, it's my first attempt, but I can go into that in more depth if you want me to, but for now I thought I'll just keep it to what I was expecting and how these are performing. So this isn't finished yet, and this cable will be in conduit buried in the ground when I've finished. But I wanted the frames to be movable, didn't want them permanently fixed in the ground, so I can move them, I can play around with the angle, and I've made these panels sit off the ground enough so I can get the lawnmower underneath there as well. So I hope you found that useful. If you have, please do click the thumbs up, that really does help, and I'll see you on the next one. If you like the video, please do click the thumbs up button, and leaving a comment also helps too. Plus, of course, subscribe if you're not. If the video saved you time or money, a little support via Ko-fi or the Super Thanks button would mean a lot. There's over 1,300 videos on the channel, so have a browse, use the search, and have a look at the playlists. And here's 2 videos you may want to check out.